Let's talk about the levels and being good using Selling Sunset. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to today's podcast. My name is Brittany Simon. In today's podcast, I'm a little bit low on spoons. I got my booster because I'm going to be traveling. So I'm a little, but other than that, everything is great. Everything is peachy. So just bear with me through this, podcast. I am excited to talk to you about this. I've been really contemplating how to make this podcast. And so I kind of had to switch it up a little bit. But before we jump into the details of the podcast, I am sponsored today by High Priestess, which you guys know is a wonderful company. I've been working with them. I love Leela, the woman who runs the company. She's an amazing person. In October's box, it actually featured a tea that I'm drinking today. This is a Beltane tea. Its ingredients are organic spearmint, sage, thyme, and red rose petals. I love the edible flowers, flower themes, anything like that. I am sold. But let's try it together in my cute little teapot. Okay, let's pour this fresh and warm. Taste it together. Ooh, do you see that steam coming up? Ooh. Okay. I'm not the biggest fan of the spearmint, but the rose is really coming through. I mean, honestly, the High Priestess boxes are amazing just for the tea selection because they come from everywhere, and I'm just not the person who's going to have access to international tea. So this is really exciting. So I'm so glad we got this tea today in our High Priestess box. We got a lot of goodies in this box, including the October box was a 18 plus box. So I got a little vibrator. Do you guys hear it? I don't know if you guys can actually hear it. But if you guys want to see, I did test it out on my 18 plus OnlyFans. So if you guys are interested, yes, I do adult work as well as philosophy work. So if you guys are interested, links down below. Well, actually, no, links not down below because YouTube will absolutely shut down your channel. I lied. OnlyFans, Brittany Simon. That's me. Okay. Let's put this baby away. Now, in today's video, what I'm going to do is, I know I talked to you guys about this. I wanted to make a podcast about how the world is good, but I don't know how to do that when I talk about everyone, like everyone on the planet. And so I'm going to just focus our energy down to a small, tiny bubble. The bubble known as real estate in LA. Selling Sunset. Selling Sunset is a show I've been watching on Netflix. It's my trash TV show, but funny enough, features people like Graham Stephan, who I watch on YouTube, and he's in the show. He doesn't speak. He's there though, because he's a real estate guy. And I think that's interesting. There is also Karamo from Queer Eye and other people, celebrities that came in as clients, customers, or friends that I think is interesting because for so many years, especially since I'm an MTV kid, I grew up thinking reality TV was completely fake. But I think that we need to re-examine how we think of reality TV and consider that it's reality amplified. Selling Sunset, unlike the Kardashians or anything like that, is obviously a group of people who were realtors. They had an industry and a career. They didn't build their careers off the drama, so they didn't need to facilitate more drama for money. If anything, the amount of drama in this show would make me avoid using some of these people as my realtors. And that's what's so interesting about it. So instead of thinking about the world and how to prove the world is good, I want to talk about our circles. Now, I'm going to be looking to the left of me for names because I don't actually know everyone's names unless I think about it hard, and it just would be very weird for a podcast. So I'm going to reference my notes to my left here. So there's a lot of people in the cast. You don't need to know anything about Selling Sunset to understand this podcast, so don't worry. I just want to use it as an example because I think it's a good one. Now, Selling Sunset is a group of adult people in LA selling homes, selling homes, right? Some of them flip, some of them don't. You might know Tarek, who used to be married to Christina from the HGTV show, Flipper, whatever that show was called. In this show, Selling Sunset, there's a girl named Heather who looks just like Christina. So for 2 seasons, I thought it was the same girl. I'm so embarrassed. It is not the same girl. And she's married to Tarek or getting engaged throughout the show to Tarek in the show. So these are real people. I remember watching Tarek on HGTV because, of course, he's Middle Eastern, I'm Middle Eastern. And I was like, oh, that's funny. Okay, he's a real person. He has a real show on television. He had a real scandal with his first marriage. And then here he is again, kind of like a side character in this current show. So I'm sitting here thinking, oh, these are just like real people and they're following their careers. But the drama doesn't seem fake. It seems very real and psychologically damaging in a very unique way.
I don't like two-faced people. And I'm not saying you are two-faced, but it's going that direction. And I was like, oh, wow, you were super nice to her.
I don't like Heather as a person. And I get annoyed by Heather all the time. It's just because of the way she looks, because of the way she dresses, because of the way she speaks. It's because of the lack of wheels turning up there. I don't like you, but like I don't have to be your friend to like see what's going on and realize that that's not fair.
But you're not my friend?
I mean, not yet, bitch, but what? I just don't respect her.
I just feel like, there's a weird vibe in the office.
Chriselle's fake. Don't just stop.
Because they're adults, it's hard to admit how much someone could bother you. But I want to talk about why, even though in this group of very toxic people, there's actually not that many toxic people so much as the environment is so toxic it makes it look like everyone's toxic. So let's start. Okay. I want to explain this, and it's all going to tie into how I see the whole world, right? And why I think the levels work out and why I think the levels make sense. So we're going to think about Selling Sunset and the levels together. When I say bubbles, I mean cultural bubbles, identity bubbles, reality bubbles, religious bubbles. When you belong to a bubble, you're saying that this is my understanding of what is, right? When you are in a level 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you're trying to self-examine your introspection against your extrospection, but you're trying to formulate them together to see where you are in terms of how much you consider the why. In this show, there is a guy named Jason and Brett, and they are twins who own this brokerage. And in this brokerage, there are all these realtors. There's Mary, who used to date Jason, but is now married to Romaine. And Romaine's amazing. We love everybody on this cast, okay? And they have their relationship and their, like, interesting dynamics, okay? Mary is one of the most established women there. Mary has a bestie named Amanda who goes back and forth in terms of where her loyalty lies, but ultimately I think Amanda is obviously a very good woman. She's just, like all of them, struggling in different ways. Mary and Amanda and Chriselle are the most interesting to me because they come from the hardest backgrounds from my understanding of everyone's upbringing. I mean, Amanda was married to an NFL player, had 2 kids with him. He showed up every week, right? To pick up the kids, be there, and then one day just disappeared. For 3 years, she had no idea where he was, 3 years, only to find out he had written a legal note she never got that said, I'm giving up custody of my children because of my mental health. Crazy, amazing, wow, like big deal. I have a lot to say about that, but we'll save that for a different podcast. Okay, she grew up poor and struggling and like made it work with her marriage, being a single mom, all this stuff, right? That's my understanding of the background. If I get anything wrong, please just correct me. Chriselle, super poor, grew up not even knowing if she was going to have food on the table. Mary got pregnant at 16, put herself through college, raised her baby on her own to the point where her ex will call her sometimes and forget they have a son together. So these are people who didn't exactly come from privilege, but obviously work their way into what we see now, which is this glam TV show. And so it's easy to cast judgment on them and assume their life isn't hard, but human's gonna human. And because I can examine bubbles, I feel like I am probably the best person to watch a show like this and still hold a lot of compassion for people who are buying $3 million homes. Chriselle is so cute in the series. Goes through a crazy divorce, goes through a crazy story. She legit buys this house for the first time. It's $3 million or something like that. And she goes, I never thought I could buy a house. I was like, you could have bought in like 10 houses in Riverside though. You didn't have to buy a mansion in the hills. Like, you know what I mean? And I'm kind of laughing at the way that the show sort of talks about the different bubbles we're in. Like in my bubble, I'd be happy just to be able to afford a $300,000 home. Like, I'm just happy to afford that. In her bubble, she has to afford a $3 million home to feel like she made it. Everyone has a different level of expectation they're living up to. I also don't make the kind of money where a $3 million home is ever an option for me. I'm not even considering it, right? I make under 6 figures. I'm really happy with my job, and I love that I can even make as much money as I'm making. So I'm not complaining. I'm just putting an idea into the universe that we're not struggling in the same ways, but we're also struggling in the same ways. So in this group, there is this mean girl named Christine. And Christine is this beautiful, fabulous, wonderful fashion icon. Holy shit, Christine is so beautiful. But she might be the Angelica of the group, better than Angelica herself. Angelica from Rugrats was this bratty child who was entitled and thought she was owed things. Her mother, high feminist, like working boss lady. Her dad, passive. And then sort of manifesting the spoiled child at a very young age. Angelica bullies, but isn't bad. Angelica attacks, but doesn't need it. Angelica wants to be cruel, but is sort of just like a lost kid who wants to understand how the group works. And then there's Susie, her best friend. And then funny enough, in the show Selling Sunset, Christine gets a black best friend. And I'm like, what is happening? This is Rugrats. I'm watching Rugrats. It's an insane show. Now, I haven't quite finished it. I'm actually like 6 episodes from the end of season 5. Future Brittany here. I did finish the series. I stayed up all night. That's why this podcast is going out so late. I stand by everything I said in this podcast. Christine is Angelica. The point is, we're talking about interpersonal relationships that start in a small group and extend out into the whole planet. So remember, what I'm thinking about the planet and why all of humanity works the way it does, I can't just look at all of the planet and think, oh, I'm overwhelmed. I'm not understanding what's going on. I can't keep up. I'm going to take it all the way down to a select group of people and then expand out to how the world works. My family has interpersonal drama. Your family has interpersonal drama. But let's attack these strangers on the internet we've never met. Now, if any of these people ever see this video, and I don't think they will, I love you all for your different reasons, but holy shit, Christine is such a fucking mean girl. And she's a mean girl for whatever reason she is. She's a liar. She's a gossiper. She's malicious with her intent. And she's still a good person. Like, she's still a good guy. And I need to explain to you why. Because it sort of will convey to you guys why I think of the world the way I do and why I add such leniency into my judgments. Because Brittany, yes, wouldn't want a Christine who's gossipy and mean and rumor mill and just like talking to the tabloids and talking to TMZ and talking. I wouldn't want that in my inner circle. But she's not an evil person. She's not going to rape you. She's not going to murder you. She's not going to kidnap your child. She's not going to do anything that's actually evil. She's just a bad friend and a bad kind of social person to have around, but not even, because she's actually super good at her job. So this is what's crazy. Christine is actually amazing at her job. She sells homes. That's her job, right? She gets clients. She has good reputations with people. Okay, future Brittany here, really fast. Christine, end of season 5, actually tried to bribe a client $5,000 to work with her instead of Emma. Super unethical, not really great, but it's very interesting because if she was in this bubble and this is how you play the game, maybe that would work, but this isn't the mafia. Jason actually has a sense of ethics and doesn't allow this behavior, though is open, according to the reunion, to working with Christine and again in the future if a lot of things happen, like remorse, redemption, so on. I think it's pretty clear she's like a fakey person, like, you know, the energy's fake, but I also think that's probably because she has so many walls up. Funny enough, Amanza also has a lot of walls up, but they're different. So Amanza and Christine had a bonding because they're both women who both have their walls up, but yet are different tropes and archetypes. So this is what I want you to keep in mind when you're watching this or listening to me talk about it. Here's Christine, who's like this mean girl, Angelica type. Then there's Amanza, who's more like a tough girl who wants to pretend she's got it all under control, but her life's actually pretty hard. And then people just mistake her for somebody who's like maybe doesn't struggle as much as she does, right? And then if you go through the story, it's interesting to see how the girls gossip, talk about each other. The girls get pulled into Christine's world. So Christine herself was in a bubble of this brokerage, right? Jason and Brett are amazing. They're boys. Like, boys are easy. I'm just going to say it right now. I'm sorry. They're the most chill people. And honestly, the people who make it the worst in this office are the women. So like, I'm just going to say it. Now, the women do sell the houses, and they most certainly dress to sell them houses. So Mary, very reasonable person, gets dragged into Christine's bubble and thinks they're friends, they're close, but then notices Christine is gossiping about her, saying bad things about her. And she's like, oh, what is this? And then there's lying and talking to the tabloids and one thing after another. And then all of a sudden, all the girls in the group, even the men, are starting to realize Christine is at the center of all of the chaos. Why is Christine at the center of the chaos? Who is Christine? Christine is that person in every fucking group, whether you're at work or at school or at anywhere, where she just cannot authentically be honest or transparent. She doesn't have it within her values to actually be these things, but she praises or preaches like she is.
Because you know that I'm right.
Here's the thing.
You said you don't remember.
Christine,
it makes you sound like you're two-faced.
Also, I don't have to tell you what I said if I don't feel it.
Also, it makes you sound like you're two-faced when you don't own up to the shit that you say. Do you understand where I'm coming from?
She'll say, I've never lied. I've never lied. Bitch, Netflix is recording you. Like, that's what I'm saying. There's a cognitive dissonance happening here. This woman, Christine, has been recorded for 5 seasons lying on camera. And then straight deadpan, I've never lied. To the camera. And I'm just sitting here like, whoa. And then what happens through this whole chaos of the show is Mary, literally, I'm not a therapist psychologist, but I think she got PTSD. I see PTSD in this woman's face. There is a season where Christine shows up to their private dog party for their dogs, because, you know, rich white people. And Christine shows up and Mary just gets triggered, like legit triggered, freaks out. And she did it twice, at a professional event and then at a personal event. When professional events get swallowed by drama, I am shook. Like every time I think there must be an adult bubble where there's no drama. No, it's certainly not the atheist bubble with fucking Sam Harris and his drama. It's certainly not the philosophy bubble with Jordan Peterson and all those people. It's certainly not the Selling Sunset bubble where everyone's fucking drama filled. It's insane. It's never going to change. Drama, drama, drama all the way into the White House. It's beautiful. I love adulting. I love when people are like, adults need to have their shit together so we're not doing high school drama. When every adult I see is just high school drama. It's amazing. It's beautiful. I'm here for it. Okay. So here's Mary, who's experiencing a true, I don't even know why I have this in my ear. She is experiencing a true mental health crisis in relation to Christine. She's doubting herself. She's doubting her reality. You can see it in her eyes. She's not sleeping. And she's like, what is going on? Christine isn't an evil person. I'm not going to say she's Hitler, right? She's just a bitchy Angelica trope. Fine. Okay? What do we do with kids like that? What do we do with adults like that? That is the question I'm going to pose to everybody. Now, Christine, obviously not a 1, so we can move that. Nobody on the show is a 1. Everyone is a 2, and everyone is perfectly a 2. In a bubble, sticks by the bubble, understands the bubble, raises to the high in the bubble. They're not really 2As. I think a lot of the people here have very strong ideas of what they hold valuable to them. I think they exist within the bubble that they're in and they thrive within it. I see no malicious intent on anyone's part, but I do see a lot of hurt and trauma. I think Christine obviously is a compulsive liar for some reason. Whether it's I bet she was this way as a child. I really do. I think she must have been this way as a child. But the question is this her personality? Is there a personality type called compulsive liar? Maybe that's what's happening. But there's something here that makes this grown woman on camera lie and then not feel remorse. But we know this. Think about your own personal lives. Think about your siblings, your fathers, your mothers, your aunties, your uncles, your friends who've cheated, lied, who've betrayed people, who have tried their best not to hurt people, but they do, right? Think about that. And then I want you to take that bubble and I want you to expand it out. Okay? And then I want you to think about the world and whether or not it's good or bad. Most people are good. That does not mean that people don't lie. Most people are good. That doesn't mean good people don't sometimes cheat. The world is good. The statistics show the way we think about the world, the way that like trajectories are going in terms of medicine or health or innovation. We are getting better, but because we're in like the wild, wild west, but we have iPhones, right? 2022, we forget that we're still on a planet that's figuring it out. We have this idea, this like arrogance about us that we figured it out, but we really haven't. And so what I'm trying to do is, if you want, you don't have to do this, but take a deep breath and reconsider that people are good. They're just a little bit more nuanced or complicated or frustrating to be around. Christine is somebody I would never trust. That doesn't mean I'm not going to get a coffee with a bitch. Like if she called me right now and was like, hi, Brittany, I saw you on YouTube. You want to hang out? I'd be like, yeah, girl, I want tips on your hair, on your makeup, on your fashion. This woman is flawlessly beautiful. Like it's insane looking at her. I'm just like, what is happening? But I also know women like this. I've met plenty of women like Christine. There's just like a lot of like little girl syndrome. There's a lot of I'm still the queen of the playground. There's a lot of like nasally talking attitudes. I get it. It's very LA. It's very Orange County. It's very whatever. It's very rich white girl. Or I don't know Christine's past, but I'm going to assume she's actually did come from probably a hard background and then got a little tougher. I'm not sure. She just lies so often. I don't know if I'd believe her if she told me. Her husband, who's some guy who made money in tech, don't care. He was on the show and he's obviously one of those bottom boys that like lets his wife kind of convince him because she's hot of what the truth is. But he also has no reason to doubt her because he doesn't actually ask anyone their side of the story. But the funny thing is I wonder if he went back and rewatched this show, if he'd still be on his wife's side. Now, I get it. You want a trophy wife, someone hot in LA. They met because of some work thing. Now they have a baby. I get it. Maybe that's just like her life with him. I don't know if they're currently divorced. I think they're still together. As far as I know, it all worked out. But as I'm looking at this relationship, I'm thinking if I was him and I saw my wife lying on TV over and over again every season, wouldn't that make me question who I was with? He said to her, as she was fake crying to him, she fake cries through this whole show. He's telling her, she's telling him, these girls are mean to me. These girls are mean to me. He's like, they're jealous. He literally says to her, we do stuff on our weekends that they will never do in their whole life because, you know, they're really rich, like richer than anyone else. And I'm sitting here like, this is not good energy. I know he's saying they're projecting, they're just jealous of you, but everything he's saying about the girls on the team, Christine is doing. It's Christine. She is the problem. Now, here's the funny part. I still can't allow myself to say Christine is an evil person because I don't really believe in that idea anyways. Whoop. Though I think, like, you know, everyone goes to Hitler or Stalin. I get it. That's pretty evil. But still, if we're going to say that Hitler and Stalin are evil, then Christine can't be evil. She's basically telling petty lies and trying to be cool to the tabloids. This is high school drama. And so what I want for people to do is humble themselves. When I get attacked and people are like, you're like Hitler, dude. You want to genocide the ones. Can you please get your head out of your ass and just pay attention to what's happening in the world? That is not what's happening. Most people are not Stalin, are not Hitler, are not crazy rapists. Most people statistically are not going to harm you or kill you. But they might talk shit on you. They might talk shit at a work party. They might spread rumors. They might cheat on you. They might try to steal your boyfriend, girlfriend. So that's the thing. These interpersonal relationships where we, you know, amplify the pain we're all going through. I get that it hurts. I've been cheated on. It really hurts. After I got cheated on, I went and ranted and raved to all my girlfriends for a couple of years, like legit, because him and I were back and forth. I lost friendships during that time because when I was with my girlfriends, I couldn't do anything but complain about my ex. And so, like, some of the girls didn't stay friends with me. Now, they never told me this, but in hindsight, obviously, I know that's why they didn't stay friends with me. Because who wants to be friends with a girl who just complains all the time? Nobody. And Christine is a complainer. I don't like people who complain. Now, the women in the office are not innocent of how many times they talk about her. Christine obviously lives rent-free in all of these people's heads, but it's because she hurt them so badly because they were just so gaslit.
Don't just stop. You either defend me and have my back and say, you know what, guys? No, this is what I believe, or don't say anything at all.
Have you worn these yet?
No.
These are like stripper shoes.
I know, thank you, right?
Yeah.
Come sit down, bitches.
Finally, I'm so tired of talking about everyone else's issues. Now we can focus on me.
Christine really did gaslight people on this show, and I think it's pretty clear. I obviously can't understand the psychology of Christine, right? I'm not in that field, but just person to person, when I think of introspection or extrospection, there's obviously a place in which Christine has found her happy zone. She's obviously super successful, super beautiful. She has no reason to change, just no reason. And there's no reason to change because people still want to work with her. Now, when I did read, though, to see what Christine was doing in case the season ends crazy, apparently she did leave the brokerage. I don't know why yet. I'm going to watch the show, but I'm not surprised since she was being alienated in the season 5 already by all the people. And I really wish adults would just allow a circumstance to play out to a cohesive ending. Like, you know what? I'm not feeling safe here. I should leave. Or, hey guys, we've already voted. You fucked everybody over too much. You got to leave. But Christine is so good at her job that I think in some ways they didn't want to lose her as a realtor. Now, I could be wrong about the complete details. These are real people, right? But what we can gain here as an audience is real people, like, living their life, and then we get to kind of pull it apart. So funny enough, Davina is one of those characters in the show that I think is the most frustrating because she's kind of autistic, and I don't think any of these people would ever identify as autistic, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean quite literally neurodivergent to neurodivergent. I think Davina is on the spectrum because she has a very hard time socializing. It is insane. And I don't mean to say that all people with autism have a hard time socializing, but you know, there's something about the way she talks to people. I'm like, girl, are you neurodivergent? Because you're giving me these vibes. She will say things so inappropriate over and over and over again. And I'm like, stop talking, stop. And people will be like, shh, Davina, shush. And she can't. She has to get it out. It's like she just doesn't understand the social faux pas. She's like breaking so many rules.
How do you feel about the ring being moissanite or not a real diamond per se?
Davina.
Like,
If it's fucking bullshit, then why did you get a real diamond if it's fucking bullshit?
There's a respectful side and a non-respectful way to handle things.
But literally, I know zero. Like, I know nothing. You know what I mean? So what do you want me to say? Like,
There's
you know?
not two sides.
There are.
He's wrong, she's right, and we support her. That's it.
But Chriselle, to be fair, obviously Justin has his own side, right?
Can we stop?
That's all I'm saying. You didn't get married to get divorced, you know? You know that, right?
I don't even know how Davina got so popular. Like, how did she even get popular enough to get into these circles? And she does it again in season 5. She yells at a client and starts fighting with her. And I'm like, shush, shush. This is your client. Make them feel like they make them feel like it was their idea. Like, it's like this client came to her and said, I feel very pressured by you pushing me to list this house. And she goes, well, you told me to list this house. She goes, no, I never said that. And then Davina, instead of just going, oh my God, I'm so sorry, I misunderstood. Take all the time you need. Get back to me in 3, 4, 5 months. Take your time. It's your house. You love your house. Spend time in it. She went, no. She literally argued with the client instead of just appeasing the client and letting the client already told you she felt like consent was broken. Don't double down and be like, this is your fault. Like, oh my God, Davina, give the woman a second. It's so, and Mary was sitting there as the mediator and she was like, ooh, I handle my clients differently. Usually, your clients might fight with you, but again, I don't know how these people end up becoming successful when they're obviously like so bad at interpersonal relationships, but maybe they're better with their clients. Maybe they're better. Who cares? The point is that obviously some of these people, all these people are good people. Some of these people are better than others in terms of their ethics, more closer to mine, therefore better. But obviously we'll have biases. There is a Christine in everyone's group. Everyone's going to have this. So when you ask me, why do I think the world is good? Because these are all drama, crazy people. And at the same time, they're all very good people. They try really hard, but their life is in the public. Their jobs are in the public. This is the way to make it in their bubble. And they're trying to ride the wave. That doesn't mean it doesn't impact them. Chrishell was married to an actor and found out 45 minutes before TMZ posted that her divorce was coming, that she was getting divorced from the man that she loved so much.
Justin Hartley got a lot of backlash this weekend after it was revealed on Selling Sunset that he texted his then wife, Chrishell, that he had filed for divorce.
Sorry, I'm just kind of in shock with it all, so I'm trying to keep it together, but it's just a lot all at once because everybody in the whole world knows at the same time that I knew, so. Did you get in an argument or anything? We had a fight that morning over the phone, and I never saw him since. We didn't talk things through, and before we had a chance to figure anything out, he'd file.
And I'm sitting here thinking, girl, I don't know any human who could handle that. Think about how hard it is just in our own lives when our partners, like, God forbid, cheat on us, and then we find out not even by them, but by someone else. And yes, her ex texted her to let her know he's divorcing her. Texted. Is that not horrifying to anybody? This is insane to me, right? Now, I don't know the interpersonal relationships going, like the details of their relationship, but inner workings, like, I don't know it. But let's assume everyone's kind of basically a good person who's doing their thing, right? Because we have different values and different ideas of what it is to exist, we're gonna create chaos. So when you ask me, why am I so lenient on the world? It's because I'm lenient on this. You, me, my family. My family has so much trauma, so many issues, and yet not really that big of a deal. Not really that big of a deal. But to some people might be the biggest deal, and to other people, not even close, right? So when you look at your life, you have to decide, where am I truly when it comes to my health, my psychology, my body, my wealth? Where am I when it comes to my goals? Where am I? Did I say when am I? Where am I when it comes to my goals, right? And you have to ask yourself, well, how'd you get here? And then where are you going? And I think these people here are in this like bubble of stardom and celebrity, and they're hoping for the celebrity client. You know how viewers might look at them and say, oh, they've always been famous. They've always known celebrities. No, for them, it's just as exciting to get a celebrity client as it is for us to get a celebrity client. Like when I get celebrity clients in my calls, I'm like, oh my God, like this is exciting. I don't tell anyone my client list, obviously. It's none of your fucking business. But it is really cool, and I do like it, and I think it's fun. And like big or small celebrity, it's still interesting why people come to you, because you're like, oh, there must be something about me which attracted you, and that's really cool. So there's something about it that's also amazing for your self-esteem when it comes to your job, because I think all these women and men want to be good at their jobs. I want to be good at my job, and so it sucks when you have somebody like Christine who also wants to be good at her job, who cannot figure out how to not lie about people. She does it in the most like, oh my God, did you hear? It's like malicious gossip. It's not fun gossip. Fun gossip makes you feel better. It's camaraderie. It's like bonding. It's friends. it's observation. It's not mean. Christine is mean about it. So it becomes less fun because now it's like, well, okay, like Chrishell's not a bad person. So why are you talking about her like she's really bad? You know what I'm saying? Like, why are you doing that? Versus Christine is not an evil person. I think she's a really bad friend. I don't know how she is as a wife, but I think she's a really bad friend. She seems to be a pretty good mom, though. So that's interesting. She doesn't seem to be neglecting her kid as far as I can tell, but I don't know that for a fact. But she's not a good friend. Now, does not being a good friend make you bad at your job? Does not being a good friend mean you can't work in an office environment? I think sometimes it can. Sometimes people are just walled off. They go to work, they go home, and no drama, but people don't like them because they're not engaging. And I would rather have that than a Christine who engages, shows up to parties, but causes drama every time. What's crazy to me, is that these adult women will be at openings, will be at parties, like adult parties for their homes, not like parties, like these are professional parties to sell homes, and they'll bring up Christine. They're like, did you hear about Christine? And I'm like, oh my God, stop talking about her at parties.
What do you think about Chrishell?
I don't know. She seems nice. She did bring a basket of dog toys, so
I know, such a kiss-ass move. No, that was the kiss-ass move. It was an ass-kisser move.
it was still nice.
Yeah, they said that about Ted Bundy, too.
So, Chrishell, good luck at the Oppenheim group.
Thank you.
Cheers. Cheers. Thank you. I don't want to say it, but you're gonna need it.
Okay. Dang, girl. You're just like a big tough girl, aren't you?
I'm not trying to be friends with you. Like, I'm not trying
You've
to,
made
like...
that clear. It's
like,
not
come on,
about
Heather,
friendship
this
at
is
this
business.
point.
Like, I'm sorry. This got... Like, I apologize for that. I genuinely do. But if you're gonna tell me that you don't want to work with me, good luck with that.
Christine, but...
Seriously, that bitch should own a sunglass hut because she's so cheap.
Even at weddings, Christine will bring up drama at weddings. Like, these women will talk about drama and gossip at weddings. Y'all do not know how to keep your fucking mouth shut. Like, Jesus, if you were in my circles, I would kick you out because you can't keep your mouth shut. It is amazing to me that you feel comfortable going to professional events and bringing up personal drama. How could you even talk about it? People can overhear you. What if somebody's recording you? Oh, wait, Netflix is recording you. Netflix. An actual camera crew is recording you gossiping about your coworkers. Do you think other brokers and people in the city aren't going to hear this? Oh, but wait a second. Everyone is like this. So it doesn't matter. Because in this bubble, it's Hollywood, baby. It's LA, baby. It's just the way it works, right? And I can't even be mad about it because it's how this bubble works. And I think that's what's insane. Okay, hold on. Whew. Here's what I'm trying to say. The reason I understand and can be patient with people for the most part, except for a few, is because I do think they're good. Someone that I have a hard time with is Mr. Girl, Max. He's like the greatest example to use because I genuinely have a hard time with people like him. People feel like they're in chaos. I felt like that. I was depressed, suicidal, all these things.
Oh my God, this is...
Yes.
You're not
from your
engaging with anything I'm saying.
No. I feel like we're having a great conversation. What do you mean? This is great.
I don't think we are.
Why?
I don't
What's
think
wrong?
you're responding to what I'm saying.
Well, I'm trying to get there, but I feel like you have to understand how my brain works because you're categorizing me like I'm like a guru or something. Like I think I'm this big a deal. I just think I'm a human who shits like everyone else, and I figured out a specific way to exist.
Word for word. You're going down the cult leader playlist. And
right,
saying
I know
word
that.
for word,
But
everything.
Max,
Okay.
nothing I say will be good enough for you because you've already decided it's culty. Because if you knew what a cult was,
Yes.
you'd know I wasn't a cult. Habibi, have you never seen documentaries on cults? I'm way too lazy to be a cult leader. Come on.
So all we're doing now is seeing how much of this you're willing to own, and the answer is none.
Well, I don't want to misconstrue what I'm doing. He is not like a Christine, but they're kind of similar. They both lie, cognitive dissonance, are good people, but drive people into feeling gaslit because they are gaslighting people. They are abusive, but they're not abusive from a place of wanting to torture someone. They're abusive from a place of torturing themselves. So though Christine and Max are different, and I could get along with a Christine and I'd want to get coffee with her, I couldn't get a coffee with Max.
A lot of speaking.
When somebody tries to hold
Maximus,
let me
this is breaking my heart.
finish.
Then you do this. I let you finish all the time. I need to get some satisfaction.
When somebody asks me, do not let Kyla get away with that fucking question. It's so
there's
fucking
always
slimy.
something else,
No,
though.
no, Dan, no. I will not be fucking slimed out again.
Hurry
No,
up.
Fuck,
You got
no.
30 seconds.
Okay,
Go.
great.
Be fast.
What I would want her to do beyond what I just described is when somebody challenges her on it, to not take the defense, oh, I'm just silly, Brittany, it doesn't matter what I say. Then take the defense of, oh, everybody does, yo, you do this, I do it. Then take the defense of, oh, you're re-traumatizing me and I am mentally ill. I'm mentally ill, so I can't be held accountable for the mental health of people who watch my channel who are also mentally ill. After taking all of those potential exits, when confronted with the fact of what she actually fucking said, then she says, oh, yeah, never mind. Okay, I did disavow that. Instead, the first thing she should say is, yes, I have put out messages that are harmful to mentally ill people. I have done and said terrible things, and I'm willing to take accountability for them.
Max makes me feel like in danger. Like he makes me feel scared in a way that, you know, people can make me feel. Christine doesn't make me feel afraid. I'm pretty sure I could win in a fight. But with Max, like he also admitted to hitting his ex-girlfriends, and he admits to not knowing if he'd do it again. So it's different. Max already has a reputation of, you know, controversially being put in a situation where he may or may not have raped a woman. I don't consider it literal rape, but it's pretty technically rape, but it's not, you know what I mean? All right, future Brittany here. It's really hard to make this podcast, and I'm honestly just very tired, but I want to add the nuance to the conversation because I think it's important. Max himself is a character that's very polarized. It's hard to sympathize with him. When he was in college, he ended up getting arrested temporarily because he sympathized with the Virginia Tech shooters. Like, at the end of the day, we have relationships with ourselves and our own demons, and I don't want to, you know, because Max and I don't get along, I don't want this to seem like I'm just attacking him, but I have a hard time sympathizing with him because he's got such an insane track record. I think as a person, I have the right to feel afraid of someone with a track record like Max. And I think that's the point I'm trying to make, while still standing by the idea that he could be a good person, even with all of these controversies, because maybe there's nuance to be seen here. So when you hear Max's stories, there's a safety factor that goes into how women feel around him, versus with women who are just gossiping and catty, there's a psychological issue that happens that is not bodily fear, it's like reality fear. Christine gaslights, she would never physically hurt a woman. Max gaslights, but he has already in the past hurt a woman. He might do it again. So there's a reason that these two energies are different. So given my PTSD and my assault and everything else, obviously dealing with a Max might be triggering to someone like me, especially since gaslighting is a trigger, right? It's a horrible thing to go through. It's very hard to process reality when someone's doing it to you, especially when you want to give someone the benefit of the doubt. So in society, when you have in your bubbles a cohesive culture of people who are relatively good, right? Some shit might happen here or there, but everyone's kind of good. Then you get a Christine or a Max, everything implodes. Look at Destiny's group. Also amazing people, right? All kind of nice. Stardust and Kyla and ABBA and, you know, just everybody's just kind of doing their thing. But then Max is like this unique person that stands out, and everyone's like, why does he make everyone freak out? Why is he leaving? Why did he get his YouTube channel taken down? Why is this happening? Why is this? Because there's something about his energy that makes people start to begin to fight with him. When I stopped talking to Max without Destiny there, Stardust, Cherry now, everybody, it's the same thing. We're all adults, but this drama is just follows us because all adults, all relationships, all communities, all societies, all planets have the human being as the common denominator, and the human being is the drama machine by nature. I don't know why we do it. I don't know why we gossip, or why some scientists say it makes us feel better to feel like we're connected with people, even if it's to push someone down, right? But I think within our own value systems, which is subjective and up to you, you can form better and healthier relationships. So I personally have an inner circle for this reason. My girls are ride or die. My people are amazing, but we've all negotiated. We've gone through, we keep up. We make sure that our friendships are healthy and cohesive. And if they aren't, like I have a one in my inner circle and him and I are, we don't always, you know. I tried to keep the peace by keeping the distance. Distance makes the heart grow fonder. It's an investment in the future. That way, if we ever come around to bonding again, we can do it with a bunch of time in between. So when we come back, maybe the wounds will heal better, but maybe not. We'll see if we ever connect again in that close way, right? We've been very distant, very like, you do you, I do me. But in the future, I'm invested in rekindling that relationship to be closer, obviously, right? Inner circle. But This is the journey of what it means to be a human. This is why I look at the groups, like my own family, and then I go, well, if my family is like this and this show is like this, then if you expand it out, the government's like that. Oh, which means our schools, our churches, our Walmarts, everything is like that. Oh, which means our planet is like that. Okay, wait, let's talk about this. Let's reconsider how we look at the world, because there is this belief. I grew up with my mom used to do this to me all the time. She'd be like, our kids aren't messed up like other people's kids. And I'm like, oh, are you sure? Because like, but whose kids? And I get it. If you compare us to other people's kids, yeah, we're not the same, but we're not exactly not messed up. It's like a way for your parents to say, we did it right. But did you? This is a 2 problem. 2s always want to believe they know the right way, right? While 5s and I think 3s and 4s, we start to consider, oh shoot, maybe my way isn't going to universally work. Remember how I told you about my friend who went through psychosis? When they were going through that, I was the worst thing for them in that moment. I was not helpful, which is very hard for me to I was not good. I did not help. And I'm me. I'd like to think I'm a very helpful person, but I made it worse. So I had to leave. Our friendship is great. Everything is great. They're super healthy. Everything's wonderful. But in that moment of time, that little moment, I just couldn't be the energy they needed. I think we have in our heads that we're always the best thing for everybody because we are the greatest people or we know better, and we're not. Just because you're a good person doesn't mean you and another good person are going to make a good relationship. Sometimes 2 people who are good become friends and become those ugly, catty, gossipy bitches I've ever seen because their energies together bring that out in each other, right? So maybe Steven and Max can be friends because Max is a good person with a very fucked up psychology, right? He's allowed to be that way. Christine is a very nice, good person with a fucked up psychology. She's allowed to be that way, right? They're not mass murderers. I was going to say they're not rapists, but I don't think Max raped that girl. I think he, within the context of the situation, she was saying no, but she was like putting herself on top of him, naked, positioning himself. So she was doing that thing I've had with girls. I've had this with girls where girls are always like, I'm into you, I consent. And then they feel that kind of sex shame the next day. And then they don't really feel that happy about it. I don't know if this girl ever reached out to him. I think she was fine with it. But the way the story was told, which was supposed to provoke people, Max meant to say it this way. The reason people are uncomfortable with Max is because he's saying it in a way that's not as relatable, but he doesn't know it. Because I personally understand the nuance of consent. Like with these women, I consent to be your friend. I didn't consent to you gossiping or telling TMZ about me. But then those girls don't see it as a consent violation for these women's lives. They see it as their right to tell their stories. So consent is being broken every day amongst all of us. Sometimes it's sexual, sometimes it's interpersonal, sometimes it's emotional, sometimes it's whatever. So what I'm trying to say is all of this is happening all the time. There is no family that's doing it perfect, no government that's doing it perfect, no church, no anything. There are just people who are doing it healthier and better for certain communities. I have a friend, him and I, Q, he's always on the podcast. We love him. But Q and I have totally different beliefs, right? I'm a strong community person. He's a strong individualist. I'm a hardcore individualist, but in a completely different way than he is. I love my communities. You can call it my 2 bubbles if you want. I love hanging out with my girls, my gays, and my theys. I love hanging out with my people. I love hanging out with my brothers. I love going into like certain Britney modes. And then I like coming home to be this Britney, which is all my Britneys at once, right? But community is a very important thing to me. I'm Middle Eastern. I'm queer. I grew up Catholic. I grew up connected to communities. I belonged to feminist groups when I was younger. And now I'm more individualistic in my literal life, but my heart is always going to be somewhat in those groups, even though I can't exactly get on 100% behind these beliefs. I still feel that nostalgia for Catholicism, the nostalgia for my feminist bubble, my nostalgia for my queer bubble. And I like to visit, I like to hang out, right? But then Q is this like really individual, amazing person who's very like introspective and wonderful. He's like one of my best friends, one of the greatest people I've ever met in my life. But he has a very different view on life, a very, you're moving through the motions of it, very Heinleinian version of reality. Well, I have this Laurel K. Hamilton reaction to reality. So we're very different. And then people always ask us like, why don't you date? Or why didn't you date each other? Because we're 2 good people who would cause each other to become ugly if we were together. Because I can't see the world like he does. I don't think 2 good people together is always going to make a good thing. So when the world says, why is the world in chaos? Because good people are coming together and not creating good things. We're watching Vinland Saga right now, my brother and I. I love anime. You guys know I do. Check out my my Death Note earrings. I love anime. I think it's wonderful. It's a great storytelling mechanism. I just love it so much. But in Vinland Saga, Thor's the dad, he says no one has any enemies. And I've been really thinking about that. And I feel more and more and more like that every day. I think a big part of it is introspection, extrospection. I think as a 5 in my level system, I feel like as I've gone through this journey, much less hateful, much less violent, much less everything, because I know that you're me and I'm you, and that my chance of being born in this body was the same as your chance of being born in yours. And we're all just figuring it out. And we're born into worlds and bubbles with already a script given to us about what is good, what is pretty, what's acceptable. And then we have to decide if we want to change it. And sometimes change means war, which means death. And I don't want to kill any of you. So I am trying to maybe, with my work, put a little option out there to say that we're all kind of just doing this thing and we're all on a journey to do it. In Vinland Saga, Thor tells his son, Thorfinn, I'm so bad with names. He tells his son, nobody has any enemies. Like a real warrior doesn't use a sword. Basically, don't kill people. But of course, his son has to go on his own journey of becoming a man, which involves killing people. They're Vikings, right? It's taking place during like the Vikings in England fighting and all that stuff. And this is very understandable to me. This is where my superpower comes in, because I know for a fact that this is exactly what it is to be a human. You cannot rush people through their journey of introspection, extrospection. Everyone goes on a journey of becoming a man, a woman, an adult. Everyone goes on a journey of being good, bad, good, bad, good, bad. Do not ever think I will tolerate the cognitive dissonance of I'm such a good person, I have never done anything bad. If you come to me with this kind of psychosis, I will send you to a therapist, okay? Start making notes of all the times you've betrayed your own values or betrayed the values of your bubble, shame, and talk about the ways you haven't been the best person, okay? I can do it. I've written down all my things. I used to have a video on my channel called like the worst lies I ever told. I've told some fucking stupid ass lies. They're so bad. But I knew why I was doing it. I was in survival mode, and that was a journey of that Brittany, and I don't have to do that anymore. But the person I am today and the person I was 5 years ago is just not the same person. So because I knew how much I changed, of course I have more patience for people to change. But if you have not finished your changing, if you have not changed, if you have remained stagnant, of course you're going to see me and not believe that I can be patient with people as they change. One of the things I find fascinating is people who just don't know my work will talk about my callers, and they'll be like, Brittany thinks the only way to live is her way. That's literally not what I'm saying, and you know that. You know that's not what I'm saying because you get upset that I allow people to live their lives. If my friend wants to be pro-cheating, that's great. He dates, he's romantically successful, he finds women that agree with him, so I don't think there's any reason to have an issue with it unless you are dating them. Right? If you're not dating them, it's really none of your fucking business. Same with Fresh and Fit. If they want to have a one-sided open relationship, none of my business. If women are willing to date men like that, that's on them, right? They obviously like it. For every Andrew Tate, there's a female Andrew Tate, right? What was that girl? Abba just showed her on Destiny's stream. Pearly things, pearly white things, pearly whatever. She literally said like women shouldn't have the right to vote. Okay. I disagree with your opinion, right? That's it. I disagree with your opinion. I'm sure she's a very good person. I'm sure she's a nice person. That doesn't mean she has her self-interest or anyone else's self-interest in mind. Or maybe in the world she wants for herself, it would make sense for women not to vote, right? I don't think bad ideas are the problem. I think humans just like bad ideas, and that's the problem. And I think we're all too scared to admit it, that people like bad ideas, and we keep doing it over and over and over again. And that's okay because everyone's on their journey, and it's okay to say, no, this is not okay. But what can you and I do as individuals? Pay attention to your circles. Look, I'm never going to go and have access to Russia and be like, Putin, you're done, right? What's he going to do? Like, what is he going to, who am I? So we need to stop pretending that most of us who are never going to have access to changing the world in that way, that we have more power changing our inner circles, changing our communities, voting in our local elections. Election season is here. I have my mail-in voter ballot. If you have yours, send it in. If you're going to go vote, vote. But be a participant in your local community because that's where it matters. Don't let the news and the drama confuse you. National politics don't matter. I mean, they do matter, but your local matters so much. Pay attention to your school boards and who's in charge of your local areas. Think about like your everyday life. When you walk outside the front door, that is your community. Okay? And think about where you live. If you don't like it, move. My parents moved oceans. I want no complaints about moving or migrating. Zero. I know it's expensive. It's extremely stressful. Trust. But it is a part of existing in the wild, wild west with iPhones. Okay? This is our version of getting in a buggy and wagon or whatever, riding a horse or like, you know, a horse for miles and miles and miles and miles. Our ancestors had no cars. We have cars. There's still a struggle. Maybe it's immigration costs. Maybe it's this. Maybe it's buying a house. Maybe it's, that's what I'm saying. But the cycles of the world are getting better because I can have this job. I'm a woman who does sex work and I'm not being hung in the streets. You know what I mean? People of color are getting more rights every day because they continue to fight for them. We are, as a collective, as a human species, disagreeing with the humanity of each other. When I talk about ones, people literally, because of their own issues, think I should like you guys, like Max accused me of genociding, wanting to genocide the ones. I never said that. And the fact that he said it just tells me that's what he thinks. I love my one. He's very important to me. And if the world came for him, I would fight you for him. I would fight him. I would fight you for him. Yeah, I'll fight you for him. You know what I'm saying? But that's the problem. I would never want my one to become a victim of the mob. But that doesn't mean my one is a good person. That doesn't mean my one doesn't do bad things, right? It's just like that's the reality. What I'm trying to say is every time you look at the world and you wonder why is it chaotic, look at yourself and recognize that we're people on a journey and it's very fucking hard. And I think that's all I wanted to say, really. I'm getting my period. I'm on this birth control. It's making me bleed every day. And I have lupus and it's kicking in right now. And my booster is really kicking my ass. All this sucks. But man, I live in 2022 where I have access to medication, money to pay my doctors. What do I have to complain about? At least I'm bleeding, which means I should be able to have a baby maybe. I'm not going through menopause in my 30s. That's good. Like there's, you know what I mean? Life is hard. The hardness of it doesn't change. Life is just hard. But we need to stop pretending like we're not participants in the chaos, right? Like we are. And I'm trying to say that hopefully we'll stop, but you need to know why you want the violence. And it's usually because people are afraid. When you're afraid, you feel, right? You like, okay. Everyone is so afraid. And I think that's where we need to start examining ourselves. So when I think about the levels and introspection, I think about the world and the bubbles and why I am so like humans gonna human, it's because I cannot get through to people. If I tell you don't be violent, don't rape, you won't listen to me. You'll still do it. If I told you to be kind to your neighbor, you won't because they voted differently from you. If I tell you to stop, thinking so bad of minorities, you won't because you're a minority and you had it rough and you figured it out, so why can't they? No matter what, you'll do what you're gonna do because you're on your journey. So instead of being Thor's who tries to tell his kid you don't have to murder people to be a man, I have to accept that, yes, I'll keep saying it, but I'm not going to drive myself crazy trying to convince the world to stop raping and being violent towards people. I have never cheated, I've never raped, and I've most certainly never killed anybody. That's not everyone's story. That's not. And so if that is your story where you've done those things, we need to start having conversations about that. Whether you're the politician that wrote the policy, whether you're the government employee that pressed the button, whether you're the military soldier who was forced, otherwise you'd face imprisonment if you bailed on the military's orders, we are all participants in this society. And I think we need to start owning that and then owning what our governments do in order to keep our society the way it is. I can't just blame the government and say, well, they're doing it. I'm not doing it. I'm doing it by keeping the system going, and we're doing it by being participants in it because it's a pretty good system. If you live in America and you know how to survive here, it's not the worst. It's pretty hard. There are parts of it that suck, like medical bills. Oh my gosh. Housing crisis, insane. But it is possible. especially if you have a good group of people around you who can come together to pull you up. That's what we see in Selling Sunset. In Selling Sunset, we see people of all backgrounds come together and pull each other up. Hey, I have a listing. I need help. Hey, can you help me with this? I need your help. And I think that's really beautiful, but it doesn't come without drama. It doesn't come without petty. I was watching, Vinland Saga. There's a scene of two men who are like talking around a fire, and then they fight each other to the death because they had a disagreement over something stupid. And I've seen this happen in real life. How many men die? What's his name? Just died because of a dice game. God rest his soul. Like literally, he just passed away. All these young people dying because of petty shit. And you expect me to look at you like we're not all a part of this? Like the message we're sending out to the world isn't a part of this? Wasn't it Cardi? Or was it Nikki? I think it was Cardi. Who said it? Where she's like, these people aren't even bad out here. They just pretend they are, but they're all afraid. We're all afraid. We're afraid we're going to die. We're trying to look hard, but we're afraid. And fear is the root of all evil. The road to hell is paved in good intentions, and good intentions usually come from fear. I think I know better for you. I know you better than you know yourself. I'm going to make this decision for you. I'm going to tell you what to do with your body and your heart and your mind. So every time you think that I'm trying to tell you what to do with your life, just remind yourself that as you're telling me what to do with mine, you know what I mean? Like, look in a goddamn mirror. I don't care what you do with your life, unless you're in my community or my inner circle, right? And even then, I fully accept you have to go on a journey. You just have to. You ever have a friend who, wow, this is a Middle Eastern goodbye, isn't it? You ever have a friend who, like, you give money to, they really seem like they need it, but like the 5th time they come around for money and you're like, okay, buddy, that's it. How could you allow your friend to starve if you didn't give them money? Because it takes a strong person to put down boundaries and say, I've tried, I've given you money, I've tried to give you resources, I can't do it anymore. I'm so sorry. And that person has to go and figure out how to find those resources on their own. I'm not saying don't help your communities. I'm saying learn when it's time to help somebody else, even if that somebody else is yourself. You know what I'm saying? So again, I believe that humans are amazing and that we're getting better and the world is good. But I think it's good because we have so lost what bad is. And don't get me wrong, I'm very upset at cheating. I think it's disgusting, and I think if you do it, you're a pussy. I think people have the right to be pussies. I just get to choose whether or not I want to date them. And I don't. Okay? That's all I'm saying. The power of no is so important. The power of boundaries is for yourself, not other people. I'm open, but I have boundaries. Okay. That's what I want to say. I'm going to say goodbye. No Middle Eastern goodbyes, probably, maybe. I love you guys. I love your minds. I love our discussions. I just am so grateful for this position in life. But I'm telling you, I have learned so much by having so much access to humans where I'm like, I do have tools that other people can't have because you're not talking to 1,000 new people every year. But I'm telling you, as somebody who has been doing this, look at reality TV as your option to learn how to do this. So yeah, you might not be doing one-on-one calls with people, but start watching reality TV and start thinking about it like, oh, what if you were dealing with all these people? Watch documentaries. There's that new, oh, this is a Middle Eastern goodbye. There's this new one called The Stalker, I'm a Stalker on Netflix. It's kind of boring. But the first episode, my brother and I were watching it and we're like, whoa, it doesn't matter who you are. These people, this woman just psychologically fucked so hard with her husband's ex. Just sent the most ugly and disgusting things to this woman on the anniversary of her son's death. Her child's death, under 5 years old. And here she is on Netflix. I am a stalker. Just like my stalker. Insane. Insane. And so when you look at me and you tell me, like, oh, people are valuable. Yeah, sure, their humanity is. But, like, okay? Like, this person is stalking, harassing, and leaving, like, pentagrams and Satanist stuff in this woman's house with her pictures. Like, taking pictures of this woman and stalking her, right? She got a felony charge for stalking. This is not the same as Christine gossiping, but she's not, like, Hitler evil. She won't rape you or kill you, but she will psychologically fuck with you like my stalker did. I mean, that's what stalkers do. So that was the fear people had when I talked about the ones. But that's the thing. I don't want you to hurt anybody. But if you call someone bad, your brains go, ooh, that's a prescription. And I'm saying, no, Don't do that. Just observe it. Just say, oh, okay, that's a stalker person. Stay away from them. But I don't need this woman to be killed. Like, that's what I'm saying. I don't want to live in a world where I have to kill people that I think are bad. Everyone thinks someone is bad who isn't really bad. Religious people think gays are bad. Gays think Republicans are bad. Like, I don't want to live in a world where I know we're going to die. So I can't justify within my values throwing people in prison or like keeping them away. You know what I mean? Or killing them. Like, even my stalker, like, what would it serve to throw her in prison? She'd have less victims. But I just feel so cruel. Like, I'm going to torture this woman in jail. Like, I can't handle it. So I don't have the solution. But it doesn't feel good to throw people in prison who haven't raped or killed anybody. I think that's like my line. And at the same time, Madoff comes to mind and I fucking want him to rot in hell. But that's the thing, is like, this is the struggle. This is where the nuance is so hard. And this is why I have to have leniency, because I can't go back into two bubble world where I pretend like my way is the highway. I can't go back into my bubble where I pretend that I get to decide for all of humanity what to do. I just have to be honest with the fact that, yeah, I don't recommend hanging out with certain people. I think some people are very bad. I don't know what that means exactly, right? Yeah, I think this is a good point to maybe slow down and stop and to open the discussion open to you guys. Yeah, I think that's why I struggle when people, sorry, Middle Eastern, goodbye. When people really ask me, like, Brittany, what do you think? Are you asking me what I think for my life or what you guys want for humanity? Because I think cheating is horrible and you shouldn't date a cheater and you shouldn't trust a cheater in terms of relationships. But that doesn't mean I can't be friends with cheaters. And that doesn't mean that, like, they can't be good even though they cheat, right? Like, people can be good and be cheaters, but they could also be, do you know what I'm saying? Like, there's just like, yeah. I don't know. I feel like it makes a lot of sense when you start being in an adult world and you meet a lot of adults and you're like, oh, we're all just lying and cheating. Okay, got it. But everyone's kind of a good person, but everyone's kind of bad, but everyone's kind of good. But everyone's kind of bad, but everyone's kind of good. It's very confusing. It's not relativism. It's just like a challenge to your idea of what is ethical. It's not saying there is no objective moral like compass to follow. It's more saying, what do you think this all means? If you really start to think about it, think about your own family structures. And if we can't make peace in our own homes, do we think we're going to do it globally? And if I can't get the Selling Sunset crew to just get along, how are we going to get Russia and Ukraine to get along? When war is just such a natural part of being a human, we see it everywhere. Little tiny wars between best friends where they become enemies, big international wars between countries. The Olympics alone causes so much controversy every year because this one country doesn't allow gay people and gay people who ice skate and ice skaters want to go to Russia, and it's all confusing. And this is ultimately why I think we don't know what we're doing here, because we haven't figured out in all of this time how to actually make it work, because we know there's no real solution except letting people move through the motions and being there to counter it when it happens. And that's what's so difficult, is I don't think we want to admit that we don't have the solutions we think we have. So we have to let the world figure it out as we've been doing. And during this process, you as an individual have to make peace with that, which is what's so hard. And I just think that I've learned to accept that this is how all of history has gone, and I am not special, and I live in a moment of time. And if I'm lucky, I get to live a nice, happy life until I'm old and I get to have babies with my partner and everything's going to go great. But there's no guarantee, because somebody in the town over might decide that all Middle Eastern people should be shot, or someone in the town over might decide, oh, that's like a Republican county, and everyone in this town should die. Or maybe somebody decides, you know, they're just going to throw a nuke on my head. It's like when Brittany went to jail in Russia, how many people were like, well, she broke a rule. Maybe the rule was retarded and it shouldn't have been put in place in the first place, right? But until everyone starts just owning that we are a part of the problem, myself included, I don't think we're ever going to get anywhere truly at a faster pace. I think we're going to get there. I just think it's going to be slow. So the pace moves only as fast as we're willing to be introspective, right? So I'm okay with the pace it's going, because this is the pace humans are going at. If I wanted it to go faster, if I knew how to make it go faster, I'd make it go faster. I don't know how to make it go faster. So if you guys have a solution, please leave it down in the sections below. But I don't know what to do with all this drama, because this drama turned into war and it's confusing. Okay? Let me know what you guys think. That is definitely the end of the podcast. Thank you so much for being here. Oh my gosh. My brain was all over the place. I'm thinking about how much my body is cramping right now. So I'm going to go put a heating pad on myself and go chill. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day. Check out High Priestess. They are an amazing company. Again, run by amazing people. Like, again, I never would have met Leela unless I had a caller who knew her, and then we got connected. And then all of a sudden, I have a sponsor, because I never get sponsored, but Leela's sex positive and she's okay with my BDSM stuff. So now I get a sponsor, which means now I get to work with an amazing company. And so there's just like this win-win that happens, but it happens organically through time. Because I organically believe in my work and this caller believed in my work, she connected me to her friend and her friend ran a business. Do you get what I'm saying? And even though Leela and I don't believe in the same solutions for the globe, we believe in the same principles of like kindness and honesty and authenticity. And so on that, we can build a bridge that like works together. So I hope I get to work with Leela for many, many years. High Priestess is amazing. I'm so glad they're sex positive, and they had like an 18+ box. That's really rare for like a box subscription. So I thought that was really, really amazing. High-end products, everything's beautiful. Yeah, I feel really blessed that my life went from no money in my bank account to my assaults, to everything, to the life I get to live now. I just really hope it lasts. And that's going to be up to the world. Like, the world is going to have to move together so people can hopefully live out positive and optimistic lives. And I think we're going to do it. Yeah, I think we're doing really, really good. I just think it's hard to realize that when you're in the chaos. Take deep breaths and start moving yourself out of it. One by one. And maybe eventually it will be a whole effort by a whole group of people. I don't want to say a global effort because it will never get that big, but small chunks here and there. Okay, guys, I think that's it for my rant. I love you. Thanks for being here. I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.
Stuck in my head, in real life I'm in bed, my belly's being fed and I'm okay, I'm just fine, yet all I do is whine, not to you in my mind, cause I know I don't make sense, I've been nothing but blessed, so why's my life a mess, please tell me, cause I'm sick of thinking, yeah, I'm sick of reaching out for the truth and living life as a fool. Dun, da, 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 da.